Let's start with James Krapia from the Oregonian.
There we go. We got that handled a little bit smoother this time. We're making progress.
Yeah, getting better one day at a time, man.
No doubt.
We were chatting with KT earlier in the week, and he was talking about how now his goal is perfection in alignment, assignment, and technique. And I mean, I know that's obviously something you want any player to strive for. How far away was he from that? Like, we can all look at stats and say how dominant a pass rusher he was, whatever. But if that's the goal and you always strive for it, how far away was he from that level of elite status?
You know, I think it's just a matter of consistency. You know, him understanding and knowing what he's supposed to do and how he's supposed to do it. Just building in the consistency, not only with him, but with everybody, with all our veterans and all our young guys. That's what we're trying to achieve. You know, if we want to improve our execution, it starts with our discipline, you know, and our discipline is being more consistent and having that right mindset every single day. And we're growing in that direction. And there is no doubt we're growing in that direction. We just, you know, it's a high standard here. The guys are in school right now as well, and we're not letting our foot off the pedal. We're pushing forward, and the standard is a standard.
Next question, Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Hey, Andy, good to talk to you again. Let's kind of talk about this pass rush a little bit more. I'm curious, obviously KT is a pretty known commodity. Who's working behind him in that primary role, and kind of what are some other names to know in terms of guys that you can get after the passer for you this year?
Well, we feel pretty good about the depth there in the front overall. With the D linemen, with the edge players, you know, obviously Kayvon is extremely effective. We call it, you know, everyone's got a havoc rate that we chart throughout camp, every single practice for all the reps, you know, in pass rush situations. And Kayvon's got a high havoc rate, as well as a few other guys, you know, that like Adrian Jackson, you know, a guy that's popped up that has had a high havoc rate, as well as Drew Folliu. And then interiorly, we got guys, you know, like Austin that have experience. Dorless for an interior guy. Dorless has done a really good job in camp as well. Some young guys like Braden Swenson that are coming along. So we feel pretty good about the depth we're building there, and, you know, obviously our ability to attack the pocket.
Next question, Julian Minnesone from KZI.
Andy, hope all is well. Good to talk to you. Just wanted to get your perspective on something. You know, these scrimmages you guys are having, it's pretty in close comparison to what the season's going to be like, more than a normal year, given the fact that there are no fans. There's not as much crowd noise as there usually is. Just from your perspective, what are some of the, I guess, advantages to not having fans in stadiums from a defensive side of the ball when it comes to maybe communication or even on road games, as I'm sure you know, you'd probably love to have fans there as much as possible for your guys' sake, but what are some of the advantages?
You know what, from our standpoint, there's the good and there's the bad. There always is, right, with every scenario. I mean, for us right now, on defense, we're used to operating without being able to hear each other, you know, and so that's the fun part of the game too, is having the crowd noise and all that stuff. But obviously the circumstances, you know, have changed, and, you know, the age old saying of, you know, you gotta practice like you want to play, and the atmosphere that it is, it ain't gonna be much different than practice, right? We just came from the stadium right now and practicing in there, and the scoreboard was on, which is awesome. The new scoreboard is unbelievable. You know, pumped a little crowd noise in there, but it ain't gonna be much than that on game day. And so, you know, for us, you know, that challenge every single day to bring that positive energy, that positive juice from our leadership, and to handle the situations, you know, not only that we pose in practice, but to do it and create our own energy every single day. Because as you said, that's the way it's going to be on game day.
Next question, Ryan Thorburn, the Register Guard.
Hey, Andy, I was wondering, do you have a sense of what the challenges are going to be like for Pac-12 defensive coordinators to face a Joe Moorhead scheme, or do you not really focus on that? Are you kind of just dialed into what you guys are doing? What do you get a sense from the offense so far?
No, they've made tremendous progress. It's exciting to see what they're doing as a whole, and then collectively, individually, player-wise, there's guys out there making plays. You can see the jump that guys are making up front in the O-line, at the wide receiver position. Obviously, the running back crew is deep. And at the tight end position as well, really, you see certain guys making big jumps at all those positions, and it's an offense that poses a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things that we have to answer every day and be ready for when we go to practice, which is obviously good for us.
Next question, Tyson Alger, The Athletic.
Hey, Andy, just curious, because I'm going to ask Joe this later, but when you came out here and moved here, just how long did it take you to just get comfortable, like just living in a new city and that sort of thing? And I imagine just that process is substantially different for a guy like Rod or Joe and kind of, in the middle of a pandemic.
That part right there is different, right? So that's where it's different for me. But the bottom line, when I moved here, I lived in one of the most beautiful buildings in America right here. I didn't do much more than be in this building. So it was an easy transition. I got to be right here in the Disneyland of football every single day. So obviously it was a little different for those guys this year with the pandemic and the things we had to work through.
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
Hey, Coach. Last week you got your first scrimmage under your belt. Going into the second scrimmage, what are the things that you'd like to see the overall defense improve? And what are your expectations going into tomorrow's scrimmage?
Yeah, in the second scrimmage, there's things that the operation, number one, you want to make an improvement on. And that's going to lead to the improvement in the execution and then the finish, right? And, it's tackle football. So we're always working tackling. And obviously with the layoff and the lack of practice time, we've really spent a lot of time working on tackling. And it's always about the pre-snap operation, all 11 playing on the same page. And then the execution, that first scrimmage last week, that was the first time we've practiced and it's all the same, but you guys know how it goes when you roll the ball out there and it's labeled a scrimmage, it feels a little different. So for some of those guys to be able to operate and be a little bit more consistent this time around, maybe some of the younger guys, some of the freshmen doing a better job with their consistency in the scrimmage, that's going to be exciting to see. And seeing the older guys, really attack tomorrow is scrimmage number 2, because it's a big day. It's one of our last opportunities for those guys to be out there, all 11, and prep themselves and get used to playing together, like it's going to be on game day.
Next question belongs to AJ Jacobson from Rivals.
Coach, you were talking about some of the depth up front on the defensive line. There's a couple guys that redshirted last year that are in the 1-3 technique type guys, Keon Ware-Hudson, Christian Williams. Tell me about what you've seen from them and how likely they are to be helpful to your front this year.
Keon is doing a great job. Keon is, playing a little bit of a 3 technique and field side end for us right now. So he's doing a tremendous job. That's the thing. You guys know how the defense works. Guys are going to play multiple positions. And so we just want to see his consistency and at the point of attack and continue to build. And he's going to do some great things for us. The other one that you had mentioned was Christian. Yeah, it was Christian. Christian's having one of the best camps, most improved jumping in terms of jumping on the scene. He's done a really good job. For the younger guys, him and Dorless up front have done a tremendous job. Now it's matching that every single day and being able to replicate that. It's not just one day here, one day there. It's every single day.
Next question, Jerry Thompson, Ducks Illustrated.
Coach, got a question about pass coverage. What I've seen in college football so far, maybe you would agree or disagree, I don't know. Seems like the referees are letting guys get away with more physicality, breaking the rules, bending the rules. So if that's true, how do you teach that? Like, how much can a guy get away with in pass coverage, cornerback specifically? Where do you draw the line? I mean, it doesn't seem like they enforce the rules real strictly.
They're getting enforced at practice every single day. They're getting called out there. So we're always about teaching the fundamentals of technique and especially the finish, because that's where you see it happen. You either see it happening in the transitions when wide receivers are getting in and out of routes or in the finish part. And so we're constantly coaching that up. And you know what? We're really, really hard on the corners in the secondary, and the linebackers, anyone in coverage. We're hard on them because that comes down to fundamentals and technique, and we want to be clean. We want it to be like it needs to be on game day. So for us here, it's neither here or there. On game day, you never control, what those guys in the striped jersey are going to do. So we set our own standard and we work to meet that.
Next, James Crapia from the Oregonian.
Andy, Drew's journey is certainly one less traveled.
Mhm.
As a guy who worked in the Mountain West previously, again, to see a guy leave a program at that level and go down to the JUCO that he went to that is not exactly known for producing that level of talent, and to come up and be a probably starting middle linebacker for a reigning conference champion. Just how unlikely is this?
You know what? I mean, the Drew Mathis we know here has been nothing but unbelievable, you know, and so his care factor is through the roof. That's he brings that his positive energy. You know, as a Mike linebacker, you got to do some communicating there. You got to do some serious leading, and not only when things are going well, but when the fire gets hot, you got to do some serious leading in there. And Drew's the type of guy that always has that infectious, you know, positivity, smile on his face, locked in. And, you know, that's what we've seen from him here. And obviously with having, you know, Troy depart and go on to the NFL, it opened up, you know, room for someone to step up and fill those shoes. And, you know, being able to get him and Isaac on the field has been tremendous. Obviously, Isaac has a lot of experience and has played a lot of great football. And with those guys in the middle and those guys, you know, other guys rotating in with them, some of the younger guys and some of the guys that have been around here, we feel really good about our depth there in the operation.
Next question, Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Obviously, Coach, there was a lot made of the 3 opt-outs and trying to replace those guys and just the totality of that group. It seems like everything we've heard from players and other assistants have been really positive. How do you kind of assess that? And what's the comfort level with a guy like Jamal Hill, a guy like Nikhil Wright, who haven't had quote-unquote starting experience, but it seems like we're hearing a lot of positive things about right now?
Yeah, no question. Those guys are doing a great job. I mean, and again, it sounds, you know, very repetitive, but it's what we're preaching, because when we're on, and it's about being consistently on. And, you know, when you go from being a backup or a role player to being the starter, it is about being on every single day. There are no days. You have to be your personal best every single day. And that's a huge challenge. And so that starts with the mentality. And so collectively in the culture, we're working to build that mentality. You know, the older guys, the leaders, the Jordan Scotts, the Nick Pickett's, the Demos, guys like that, Isaac Slade, the guys that have been around here for a while, you know, that we really pose the challenge to them about having a positive impact, you know, on our defense and on our team, and showing these guys how we need to be consistent every single day. What does that look like? And because we are going to play some young guys, which is awesome. That's college football. Guys go and new ones step up and get the right to play. And so that's kind of the process we're in right now, and we feel good about where we're going.
Next question, Tyson Alger, The Athletic.
Just following up on something you said earlier, what are the challenges of having a camp while kids are in school? You know, you usually hear that every year, especially for the freshmen who are new arrivals, of just how nice it is to be able to kind of get acquainted to football and then school. And now you're combining both.
Yes, no question. It's 2020, right? And so balancing and making sure that number one, you know, it's the hours are with us there's quite a bit difference. And so, you know, it starts with us obviously being extremely prepared to use the time that we do have extremely effectively. And that being said, that's why we're going back to how we have to be consistent every single day, because there is no time to waste. There is none. We've already lost so much time with the normal camp hours to what we are in the 20-hour week right now. And because of that, you know, hey, everyone's got to simplify their life right now. And we got to trim off the fat. We got to focus on school. We got to focus on our mental well-being, and we got to focus on what we got to do every day for football. And that's where we're living right now. That's our commitment to the team.
Next question, AJ Jacobson from Rivals.
Coach, I absolutely loved Adrian Jackson as a true freshman even. And then obviously last year he had that terrible season ender right before the season started. Sounds like he's poised and ready to wreak havoc again. Talk about what you've seen out of the strength of his journey, and then what he's ready to do this year.
Yeah, so I mean, he's had a huge layoff from football, obviously. So knocking off some of the rust and getting him to be consistent with what he's being asked to do at the positions he's playing. We are making progress, and we got time left to make the progress we need to continue to make for him to be effective. He presents a serious threat on the edge as a pass rusher. And again, just for him to get back into his rhythm of managing his reps on the edge as a pass rusher, how he's going to attack from play to play, obviously playing within the scheme and things like that. It's been a long time since he's been on the field. And so that's what we're hoping to get done with him here in the next week and a half. That's funny you're asking. I just heard his laugh. You can hear his laugh from all over the building.
Two more questions. James Carpia, the Oregonian.
You touched on this a little bit before, Andy, with the inside linebackers, but how do you, when you're making a switch with Isaac and then putting Drew on at the mic, I guess from the communication standpoint, that's obviously a positive, but Isaac was so good in pass coverage. I mean, he was best in the country in pass coverage at linebacker. How did basically you ensure that you're getting what you want out of him in the downhill sense, but not giving up anything that was literally better than anybody in the pass coverage sense? And not saying Drew can't do it, but like you were certain of what Isaac could do with that, and you are moving into more of the downhill role.
The position that Isaac plays now requires excellent pass coverage. So that's part of the reason why he's there. And there's some more difficult things that position has to do. So we're excited about that. You know, guys like Troy Dye's athleticism and being able to play that position, you know, that allows us to do some things. And even with Isaac, it allows us to do more because Isaac is so good. You know, at both positions, they're pretty similar. Both inside linebacker positions are pretty similar, being that we're a field and boundary defense. You know, at the end of the day, guys got to be able to have great read and react to play the run game. Guys got to be good blitzers, and guys got to be able to cover.
Final question belongs to Eric Scopel from 247 Sports.
Another one in the secondary for you, Andy. Is Daywood, is it feeling like he's going to be full-time defense, or is it still possibly plays receiver? And then you're a couple true freshmen we haven't, I don't know, heard a ton about, but J.J. Greenfield, Dante Manning, where are those guys lining up, and a progress report on those two?
So Daywood, first off, wow, you talk about a program guy and a team player, and what he's done in this camp here in our preparation to play on November 7th. You know, going into it, we asked him to come play defense and be a part of this and be all in on it. We went all in on him. We said, hey, we need you to come over here and play, and we would love for you to come back on this side of the ball. And if you would like to do that, we're open arms. And he's done an unbelievable job playing on defense and playing corner. So we look forward to him contributing, you know, at the corner position. Some of the other guys you asked about, JJ's obviously a safety that plays, you know, he gets in with the 2s and the 3s and just, you know, typical freshman stuff. We just got to be more consistent. He's learning it. He's picking it up. I like about JJ is, you know, the things that he has corrections on. He works hard and tries to fix those correctly as quick as possible. So Dante Manning's different. I mean, his mobility is different. His ability to play at the line of scrimmage is different. We're really excited, you know, as well as the other guys. The corner position in general is played really, really well. We're excited about what Coach Chance is doing with those guys and the techniques and how they're operating out there. Demo's made some spectacular plays. Demo's been very, very solid out there for us. Other guys too, you know, DJ James and has done a good job. And now just, again, DJ being his consistency and to do it day to day. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys that maybe didn't get a lot of playing time last year that are doing a great job in this camp.
Appreciate your time, Coach Avalos.
I'll see you guys. Thank you.